Thank you for joining me, your host, Teresa, on Let's Talk. On episode 26, can you believe that? Woo! I have a beautiful, adorable guest, Cori, who is going to share just a sweet revelation of what God has been showing her. And in that, there's also going to be a segment of Truth Be Told. So here is what's coming up next. Truth be told, have you ever been in a situation where maybe you were hosted by someone and hopefully you were taught that when you go into someone's home that you actually leave it better than the way you found it? Well, the same thing goes when we go into a restaurant, let's just say, or we go into a coffee shop and say we're meeting someone or we're on the phone with someone. Let's make sure that when we're having conversations that we actually leave that place, that establishment, even better than before. That the people that we didn't even realize were listening, were literally hearing uplifting and encouraging words. This is what Ephesians 4:29 says. It says, "Let no corrupt communication come out of your mouth, but this is what should come out, that which is good to the use of edifying or encouraging, so that it may bring grace to those who hear it." You and I can literally extend a gift of grace to those we've never met without even trying, by just being intentional with how we speak. That when we go into a place, we can literally leave it even better than when we came in. Cori, welcome to Let's Talk. I'm so glad you're here. Look, we both have our dream. You have a dream big, and I have a dream mug. Can they see it? Oh, look at that. That's perfect. Okay,
Thank you
so
for having me.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you're here with me. This is so great. First of all, for those of you who don't know my sweet Cori, she is actually a barista at Starbucks. So we were talking earlier as we were munching on some snacks, and you said something that was really powerful. Can you share with me what you were talking about when reading the one-year Bible and how you love skipping around, how it has you skip around like from Exodus and then what you were reading? Can you share that like you shared at the table earlier today?
Sure.
Okay.
So what I was reading in Exodus, in the beginning of Exodus and near the end of Matthew, and you wouldn't think that those would like line up as much. But in Exodus, I remember just being awestruck of the plagues and God's power and how God did all these things and he set Israel apart, and anywhere they went, they like countries around knew who the Lord of the Israelites was, and that's our God. And yet in spite of all that, and how miraculously and wondrously he freed them from Egypt, where they had been enslaved, where they had been persecuted and miserable. Despite of all that, as they went out, they went into Canaan, they went to different places, and they kept trying to go back to Egypt.
Yeah.
That was always their knee-jerk of when things got tough, they want to go back to Egypt, because Egypt was familiar. Because even though Egypt was slavery, and it was chains, they kept trying to go back to that, even though God was like, no, I'm out here. I have so much for you that I want to do for you. And it just really struck me of, wow, how often do I do that? Of what's my Egypt? That I, like, God has these plans for me and he's put these passions on my heart, but I keep going back to whatever the last comfort was, the last sin issue, whether that was a relationship or food or whatever it is, trying to replace God's role as comforter and God's role as vision. And keep trying to go back to what's familiar. When Jacob and Caleb and the 10 other spies spied out the land of Canaan, they come back, and 10 of them are like, oh my goodness, the people in this land are huge.
Wow.
We're like grasshoppers in their eyes. They have just left, like they've seen the power of God, they know who he is, and they're like, we're grasshoppers, we can't do it, we're gonna be destroyed. And
that's amazing.
That's where Caleb and Joshua are just like, what? No, if our God is for us, who can be against us? That's ridiculous. We're gonna take this land.
Wow.
And so often we look at these dreams and these plans that God has for us, these Canaans, these promises that God has for us, and we look at it from what we can do. I can't ever conquer that giant. What? That's ridiculous. That's too much. I can't do that. And that's the whole point, is that we can't do it. That it's the Lord that is going to be looking to say, wow, look at what God did through me. Look at what God did. It's not about what I can do. It's not about how talented of a speaker Cori is, or how outgoing I am, or if I make the best cup of coffee. Like, it's all gonna be for his glory, and that's why he has these plans for us.
That's good.
And when we step off of that, we step out of his blessing, out of his protection, and we wonder, how did I get here? Why am I back in Egypt again? It's like, because you took your eyes off of me, Cori.
That's so good. I love her. She is so cute. And I just love how she talked about the knee-jerk reactions and what is our Egypt. How often have we prayed ourselves out of Egypt, but then the very places that we go through, remember, those places we're going through, God's not having us just stay there. He's wanting us to go through it with praise because of who he is, not because of our surroundings. It doesn't say be thankful for all things. It says be thankful in all things. There's so much to be grateful to God for. There's so much. I've been learning and exercising the gift of gratefulness. And when I do, there's this joy. It's addictive. You want more and more and more. It is more satisfying than any drug. It's more satisfying than any drop of alcohol. It's more satisfying than any relationship. It's more satisfying than you could ever imagine, because it becomes this thing like, wait a second, for every obstacle, it hides the true assignment of God. And so instead of seeing the mountains, see the mountain remover, who is our God. Instead of seeing lack, see the God who is abundant. Instead of seeing the giants, see the God of the giants. He is for us. He is not against us. Well, until our next episode, thank you for joining me, your host, Teresa, on Let's Talk.